Rudan, you talked about being seen and being heard. Andre, you are talking about asking for help. And often, as human beings, we struggle with both of these. I think we struggle because we are wondering, how are we showing up? How are we being seen and heard when we ask for help? And what does that mean as a leader to ask for help, and what kind of help? I'm going to throw the both of you in a bit of a hot seat. Perhaps share with us your experiences on the times when you have asked for help. One, what kind of help was it? Who did you ask for help from? And did you sink or swim? Maybe Ridwan, let's start with you, and then over to you, Andre.
Yeah, if I can get in here. I can't recall of a time when I never asked for help. And I'm not saying this with any arrogance, you know. It just, that my nature is just to always consult and to listen to another point of view. There's a saying that goes by that says something to this effect, that if you can't change a situation, change your thinking around it. And so I would always consult and ask or have a conversation with somebody just to get the other view. What is it that I am missing? Why is it that I don't see what they see? And so to get another perspective, a global perspective, you want to call it that, but to consult widely, and then in the end, to use all those kind of a little bit of added information that you maybe have overlooked to make an informed decision. Yeah, so asking people, for me personally, is not a challenge. And I always offer, you know, I think believe in the reciprocity, that if you ask for help, you must be able to give help as well. So many people are reluctant to ask for help because they don't know how you, as the person who's being approached, will respond. But I think if we are open-minded and people get to feel comfortable that you're not offering them advice, you're just offering them a moment to think. You know, in the time to think world, we've learned from Nancy that says that the mind that has the challenge also has the solution. So it's up to us to listen, like Andre was saying, just listen attentively and ask the unlocking question, you know, what more are you thinking, or what more do you think or feel or want to say, for example. So by honoring people in that way, they feel that they will be able to approach you and ask for help. I believe so.
Okay. No, I'm very comfortable asking for help. As a HOD maths teacher, I would gladly ask for help. And I always say, if you want people to respect you as a leader, don't be afraid to use 4 phrases. Number 1, I don't know. Number 2, I need help. Number 3, I was wrong. And number 4, I'm sorry. So be comfortable to ask. And you know what? Your staff will remember, you are not a superman or superhuman being. We are, although Ridwan put his Superman picture there, but we are not superhuman beings. We are human beings working with other human beings. You are just put in a caregiver situation as a principal. And we must stop playing the hero, want to save the school. It's not about you only. So that's my my input on that, Akona.
Sure. Thank you. There's a powerful author, storyteller, Brene Brown, and she had this to say about asking for help or offering help. And I'm glad both of you mentioned how you offer help to others. She says, often when we struggle to ask for help, it's because unconsciously, and please don't judge yourself too hardly or harshly, or myself, we struggle to ask for help because every time we have offered someone help, we have attached some form of judgment to that help, or we have derived a sense of worthiness from being able to help. So inherently, what the mind then does is you are asking yourself, will somebody derive a sense of worthiness from helping me? And often we then struggle to ask for help. So for all the questions that have popped up and that are saying that I'm not sure who to ask for help from, or anything along those lines. And this was a huge wake-up call for me too. And probably everybody else that finds it so easy to just ask for help or to receive the answer yes or no to your request, is that you have let go of judgment. How will I be seen when I ask for help? And you have let go of deriving a sense of worthiness from offering or extending yourself to somebody. It's just as simple as that. Here's another question. How should the school treat a learner or educator who shows positive signs of COVID-19 on site? Since there are no doctors to confirm it at school, perhaps Ridwan, maybe from understanding circulars from the department, perhaps you may be better placed to respond to this.
Mm. Well, look, the first thing we do at school is to do the basic screening, to ask those questions about whether they have a cough, a sore throat, whether they have a fever, and then to actually read the temperature with a thermometer. So that gives you an idea whether somebody has a fever in excess of 38 degrees, and then that should be already a red herring for you to know that this person is maybe best to go to a medical practitioner to have him or herself checked out. Invariably, somebody with a high temperature will perhaps have a sore throat or a cough or a fever, which we discovered the other day with one of the little ones who came into the school, sent him off and went to the doctor.
So here's another question. What role will can you hear me, Andre?
I can hear you, yeah.
What role will ethical leadership play in principals' interaction with staff in the reopening stages during COVID-19? If I'm understanding the question correctly, perhaps the question is for ethical leadership, or perhaps using discretion as schools open, as a school principal or as a leader. How am I interacting with my staff? Am I having a blanket approach to all of them? Am I treating every conversation with all my staff in the same manner?
Okay, it's a mouthful. I'll try to answer it as best as I can. There's a clear difference between being a boss and being a leader. Where a boss orders, a leader guides. A boss manages, a leader inspires. The difference lies in how you make your employees feel and how you view your relationship with them. Ridwan mentioned it also. It's your relationship with your team, with your staff. And I'm not just referring to teachers, even the support staff. A good leader sees it as their responsibility to inspire, to guide, and to nurture their employees, to help them improve, and they lead by example. So I'm not misinterpret the question. What role does ethical leadership play in principles interaction? It is the golden rule. It's about relationships. We need to tell our staff it's not a certain sector of the staff that's affected. We all are affected. We've got one common enemy. And if we pull together, we can win the battle. That, to me, that's ethical leadership.
Correct. I think you've hit it on the head. And I think a little bit earlier in your presentation, you were talking about also ethical leadership is also showing up in your most authentic and true self. So if your answer is angazi, ik weet me, I don't know, it's as simple as that. I don't know, but together we can figure it out. Together we can find the true and correct source, which is a factual source versus the media. And no disregard to media, but often there's a lot of different messages coming around, and perhaps as leaders we are called to kind of realize this is our source of information, and I'm going to deal with this information from here. To my team, I can't see the questions very well because it keeps moving, but I'm on the last one. As high schools, there is a lot of pressure on teachers for working overtime in order to catch up on the curriculum. How best would you suggest we encourage or envision teacher and even learners to still look after themselves, but also work longer hours, for lack of a better word? Ridwan, I'm sorry we lost you a little bit there. I didn't cut you off. Perhaps you can start by unmuting yourself, and if you wanted to add to what you were saying earlier, and perhaps then just join it into this question.
Yeah, look, just on authentic leadership, for me, one of the great skills that I believe I managed to acquire over the last couple of years is to become a time to think coach, you know. And I think that Nancy's contribution is a great gift to humanity, where you honor each and every human being and you listen to the different voices. So during the first couple of days returning back to school with the staff, we had rounds and a lot of thinking rounds where we were just sharing ideas and thinking out loud. And in that space, you could feel the anxiety and the fears lifting off, and people became more settled and they became more themselves because the emotional stuck state that they were in had sort of dissipated. And so one of the best things that we need to do is to try and create a space at school through the rounds to give credit to each and every voice that's in the room. And in that way, you will find the collective wisdom. And in that way, you find that you will pull together as a team. Because although my Superman was there earlier, I can no longer believe that I can do this alone. I need the support of each and every one. And for me to show up and say, I don't know the answers. I don't know. I'm just as confused as you are, or I am overwhelmed by all this. You find that the others reach out to you and they start supporting you as well, because they see you showing up as a human being with all your frails and imperfections. And in that way, you pull together and you try and make this thing work.
Andre, perhaps a question that came to mind as you were talking, and it seems so basic. So we say, let's take care of yourself first. But what exactly does taking care of Akona first mean? Does it mean I just shut the door and it's me? Does it, you know, in your experience, what does taking care of Andre look like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like?
Okay, I think you can't pour from an empty cup, as the saying goes. And teachers, I think, unfortunately, let me start by saying this. Unfortunately, the department, yes, they say the safety of teachers, but I can tell you, to the department, it's about the curriculum. And I wish they can change. Remember, I'm not working for the department. I'm wearing my own hat. So I'm going to say this as a taxpayer. They focus on curriculum. I would focus on the well-being of the school community, teachers, support staff, the parents, the learners. That should be priority number one. Like I said, we have an unequal education system. So leave the curriculum, do the basics. In fact, instead of pushing, especially grade 12s, more pressure for the grade 12 teachers to complete the curriculum. Focus on the well-being. The curriculum, we can always catch up. And that it just shows where is the focus of the department. And sorry if I step on toes, but I have to say this. Thank you. So take care of the teachers themselves first. Instead of putting more pressure on them to complete the curriculum, do what you can, and what you can't is just, we're not superhuman beings. Yeah.
Correct. Ridwan, I think you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, no, basically taking care of yourself means that you, like Andre was saying earlier, get enough sleep, get some sunlight, get some oxygen, and find out which particular foods in your diet can help build your immune system. And also prepare for the winter months, lots of vitamin C, lemons, etc., etc. So, I mean, there's Google, we can do all those things, but you need to actually invest in making some time to see what is it that I can do to make sure that physically, if I do get the virus, and I say 7 out of 10 people in the next 3 years we may all be affected in some way or other by the virus. So we're not going to escape it. But I believe that if we are proactive and we build our physical immune system, our structure, our physical body, we take care of that first, and then the rest will fall into place. If you're physically unwell, your emotional state suffers and your spiritual state could also wane, you know? And so I believe that to take care of the physical body, and then the others will fall into line. And yeah, we need to have all those, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, all being connected and in sync to show up like that every day like we said, with shiny eyes, so that those around you can feel that this is a person who takes care of himself. This is a person who's concerned about the well-being. Inspire them to do the same.
Lovely. I get it. It sounds like you're saying that there's an energy that we live off when the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we greet, and whether that smells great or bad is how people will receive us. And leading to the next question, from what you're both saying, it ties into the fact that love and belonging are irreducible needs of men, women, and children, basically everyone. And this is why we long to be heard and to be seen. And somebody here, a principal, is asking, how can teachers address psychological issues amongst themselves and learners during this transitioning phase? So how can teachers help the learners feel seen and feel heard despite the challenges that are going on within them and outside of them from a exposed education system, for lack of a better word? Andre, sorry.
I think, yeah. I've got an unstable, I'm going to switch off my video for just 2 seconds.
Sure.
I think I've got.
I'm gonna miss your hat. Perhaps while he's connecting and getting stability on his line, Ridwan.
Yeah, I would like to believe, my experience have shown me that teachers are great relationship builders. That teachers, they may not be the experts, but they show up with a listening ear. And if they don't have the resources or to offer that solution immediately, they know that they can go ask for help or refer the matter. So I believe that teachers are brilliant at building relationships. And in order to be an effective, brilliant teacher in your classroom, you need to be able to have brilliant or deep relationships with your children, to understand them, to know their whole being, what makes them tick, and what are the challenges. So having that insight in your relationship with the learner, you need to create that opportunity for them to feel comfortable to be able to speak to you, so that you in turn can refer or request for help. And I think it's just a matter of showing up, again, the same theme here, showing up, offering a listening ear, and creating a space. You can't charge into delivering a curriculum when the kids just return to school. You need to create a space for them to settle, to be familiar with the new kinds of behaviors that they need to have. Wearing a mask, sitting in a bubble of 1.5 square meters, it's not going to be easy. Coming to school, not being able to play soccer or whatever, and just stand around all day long unless you find other creative ways of doing that, it's going to be a real challenge. So for children, they are going to need all the support that we can give them to make it through this new transition of the new skill set of behaviors that they need to have. And so to echo what I'm saying is that I believe the teachers have brilliant experience in reaching out to kids and to support kids, and also with our TST or EST educator support team, being able to refer and then to ask for the necessary support to reach out not only to teachers but to the children as well.
Sure. Thank you. Andre.
Yeah, I heard what my learned friend said there. Yeah, I agree with him, definitely. But, this is the time, in terms of, he talks about relationships. Teachers know what's happening at school. So we as principals should actually encourage and mention it to our staff that we are going to go through this adversity. But more so, we want to grow through it. We want to get on the other side closer, better. Again, my experience working in so many schools is that there are different groups. And I can assure you, with their own agendas. Sadly, there are those who want to disrupt and destroy. They want to sink the ship. But this is an ideal time for the principal and the SMT to get those people close and say, you know what, we've got one common enemy, invisible, but the effects are visible. And this is now a very good time to build relationships. That I need you, Ubuntu. I need you. I am because of you. So I think relationships is now key. And let's forget about the curriculum for just for a few minutes. I know people are stressing, principals are stressing about the curriculum. I think the worst position to be in now is to be in the principal's position. It's pressure from the department, it's from the teachers, the parents, the governing body, the whole community looking up to you for answers. And now it's the time to say, I don't know the answers. I need you.
Thank you. Thank you. And that is so true. I think it relates a lot to the glass balls, the rubber balls. And the next question is also possibly related to what we're saying. So this question is saying, as a principal, I'm getting an instruction or direction from my employer. I'm assuming this is the Department of Education. Yet when you ask follow-up, there's no response. While that is happening, there is the teachers that are needing direction, and there's a union that is pulling me in different sides, even as a union, because there are 3 or 4 different unions pulling in different sides. So the question here is, on one hand, you have information from both the employer and the union, but they have opposing messages. What is it that I can do in this instance?
For me, there's this beautiful saying in Afrikaans. It says, "Elke huis het sy kruis." Every house carries its own cross. I don't know if that's a correct translation, but for me, every school is unique and every school is different. And although government is trying to present you with guidelines that is speaking to the majority, your school is going to be different, and you can have 3 plans, A, B, and C. But you need to know that you need to assess on the ground what is ever happened, and the situation is quite in a fluidic state. It changes all the time. So although you may have plans and although you have a certain way of doing things, you have to call it on the ground. And for me, the most important thing, like Andre was saying, yes, the curriculum is important, but this is not, we are not returning from a boycott or from a strike. We are returning into a pandemic. And so we need to do what we can do at that moment in time to save lives. The preservation of lives are of utmost importance to all of us. And so, yes, we can't sacrifice a life if we want at the cost of a curriculum in that moment in time. We need to call it in the moment to see how are we going to survive and grow through this, as opposed to us being fixated on a curriculum or fixated on whatever else we need to do, and we forget the key essential things that we need to do: testing, screening, temperature, and maybe refer people to a medical facility. Those are the key things that we need to focus on to keep not only the one person who may be displaying these signs, but the majority of the people who's in the building, people with comorbidities as well. So yes, your situation on the ground in that moment in time is going to determine what kind of action you're going to have to take, what your plan is going to be like. But so for me, you cannot be fixated on one or the other and lose track of the fact that we are in a war zone. This is a battlefield, and unfortunately, people are going to be affected by this virus, and some people are going to lose their lives. And if we are being irresponsible and reckless, that is not how we would want to see the situation. I would like to believe that we need to do everything we can to preserve life and to save the lives of everybody in the school and to protect them as best as we can.
So true. Andre?
Let me show my leadership skills. I don't know. Remember, principals must. This is you damned if you do, you and the other way as well. Mm-hmm. Remember, mustn't forget who is your employer. Is the Department of Education. The union is not your employer. But again, you should step out of the war zone and let them sort it out. My wife is a teacher, a grade 12 maths teacher. And you know what? Although the union says don't go to school, the department says you go to school. So where do you stand? So I'm not going to stand here as a professional or as the what's the right word now? yeah, as the life coach tell you, know, you listen to the unions or you listen to department. I say that the unions and department, they must come around the table and they must decide on that one. So now, again, who do you listen to? But my question always, who's paying your salary at the end of the day? What if Mr. Ridwan, what if there's a memo that comes out on Monday? Teachers that doesn't report to school on Monday will cut your salary. Can you imagine the chaos? Where will the unions be? And sorry to say it again, I'm wearing my own hat. I'm reporting to myself. Unions many times disrupt schools. And I don't want to mention any names here, but you'll find that same union leaders, you know where's their children going to school? Private schools, elite schools. So it's okay to disrupt the township schools and say, don't go to school, boycott, stay away. But their children receive quality education, and that's the reality. I've got the facts. I've got the facts about that. As you can, I think you can pick it up in my voice. I'm very disturbed about this. The department wants to put instant solutions for long-term problems. The curriculum should not be the focus. They and all the unions in South Africa, the teachers' unions, must sit around the table and talk one language. Because that's why I say teachers are more confused than ever before. I don't talk about the parents. Parents are even more confused. They're looking at principles for answers, and there's not answers coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We feel and we see the passion, and it's a warranted passion because there are so many unknowns. And it sounds like what is being said, and it's even Helen, you said this, you are the guide. I think at some point, as a mom, as a leader, as a principal, as an LPF, listen to what your soul and your spirit is telling you. I think too often we are in motion. So this is coming, and all these hats that we are wearing. And Andre, you said something quite powerful when you started your presentation, is that there will never be a time when they are all perfectly in balance. So it's using your discernment at this point. As a leader, I am making a call to focus on one ball, knowing very well that a few balls may just drop a little bit, but at this point, my job is to actually take a decision which ball is glass at the moment and which one is rubber. And I think at its core, what you're saying is our God, the universe or God or the spirits or ancestors, whatever it is that we believe in, gave us an ability to use our minds, our hearts, and our instinct. And it sounds to me like you're saying it's a call to just be still. And we always know what feels right to do. And whatever it is that feels right to do is what will serve not only you, but all the many faces that are looking at you. And I know I'm not seeing follow-up questions. I'm sorry that, webinars just don't allow that. But what you can do, please keep sending the questions through, and I will try and pick up as many of them as I possibly can. Okay, I think there's time for 2 or 3 more questions. Here's someone saying, what destroys many leaders is pretending that they know all, whereas they don't. We all don't. Accept that you don't know, accept that you don't know and seek assistance. Thanks for this fruitful engagement. Thank you. So that was a comment. Yes, that's true. Anyone wants to add on to that while I try and catch up on the other questions? Okay. Here's another bit of a tricky one. Why was there so much confusion for schools reopening on Monday 1st? And what is the best way forward in the future? Are our children at risk going back to school? Perhaps let's start with the first question. Why was there so much confusion? And what is the best way moving forward? Andre, I'm going to throw you in first.
Okay. Yeah.
What is your opinion?
Again, I think my opening statement was there are no instant solutions to problems in our community, our economy, our education, and everything can work on paper. Now, again, you know, I always listen to different stories and people that were never involved in education. I mean, as a teacher, will say the following: no, the children can go to school, they will, social distancing. But I'm telling you, if you sit with a class of 45 to 55 children in your class, please explain to me in simple language, how will you be able to do that? Our children are naughty. I'm telling you, we battle with adults wearing their masks, keeping the social distancing. How will we do that with our children? Again, I invite, it's a pity this is now leaders on this forum, but parents must come to school and see for themselves what's happening. So to send the children to school, it's easy to say in 2 weeks' time, we'll let the grade 10s come, and so on. And on paper, it works just very beautiful. There are no one size fits all. Akona. So really, to be quite honest, I don't think I answered the question properly, but it's easy to say, to give quick solutions, instant solutions, and it's just not possible.
Mm-hmm. And what are we doing at Kennemer Primary? How have you responded to that?
Well, look, we have sent out notice to parents to say that school is open. On day one, we had no kids. Day two, we had no kids. Yesterday, we had 15. Today, it dwindled down to 8. Parents are approaching us to say that not widespread, but there are cases where family members have the virus, so the kids are in quarantine. There are cases where kids have comorbidities, where they themselves are sick. And then we have cases where there are maybe a grandmother looking after 2 children. And so if anything were to happen, heaven forbid, to the grandmom, who's going to look after these children? And so these are all the things that we have to factor in when we decide eventually what's going to happen. What we're trying to do is to do every teacher's on a WhatsApp chat with as many parents as possible. Some of them leave the chat for no reason, so you lose that connectivity with them. But I've been in contact with parents via WhatsApp, different groups. So we send work to them via WhatsApp, and now we've started preparing work packs, which parents will come. We call it the drive-through, but the walk-through. They come to school and they come and collect work while they feel unsafe to send the kids because of the facts that I mentioned, comorbidities, or a member having been told to be in isolation because there's a suspicion or waiting the results of a test. So there's a whole lot of factors that you have to factor in. It's not just simple to say kids must come to school. Each case is different, and you need to look at each case on merit to see what is happening out there.
The department acts only concern, but okay. I'm sorry, Seji, I may not be reading it correctly, but I think you're saying that it's you feel that the department is very concerned about the results, whereas as the leader, you're very concerned about the well-being. How can you deal with this? Any parting thoughts, suggestions, Andre?
Yeah, maybe not in relation to what the question or the statement there. I say never let a crisis go to waste. Principals should use this time really to pull closer. Not us and them, but to move closer as a team. Meaning something good or positive should come from this. The second advice to principals: put people first, other than the department. Put your people first. And then remember, you are not there as a lifesaver, sorting out the education system. That's not your role, principals. You are just there to keep the people calm, but you are not there as a lifesaver to sort out the education system. That's my parting words. Thank you. Akona.
So all I want to say in summarizing that, if we can focus on the circle of courage and creating a sense of belonging, a sense of mastery, a sense of independence, and a sense of generosity, we can focus on those 4 quadrants as we interact with human beings, and we also develop that in ourselves, and we're mindful that how we show up to create people to feel that they belong and that we also belong. And together, once we have that sense, we were able to find solutions together that will take our school as an organization forward. This is a time where there's absolute teamwork. Each and every person needs to do his little bit so that we can all survive. One slip up, one mistake from one person could infect a whole lot, you know. And we've
Yeah.
already seen where a teacher's been positively maybe identified, and so now the whole school has to watch and be in quarantine while this thing happens. So it needs a team effort to get us through this challenge.